I think the main challenge of building coalitions with women groups, feminist groups, and Palestine specifically, it's that these groups are really, it's not that established movement yet or organization, and the main concern is that they're dealing with the question of social and political legitimacy, I would say, شرعية. And it's all the time, their existence is still is a questioning one from other political power or social processes. So this is the main thing that we are dealing with. We just, and it's my concern too. I don't want to work with other groups that have this fear. It's my interest too to address this thing. We don't usually go and approach or address these groups by saying Al-Qaws wanted to meet the, I don't know, the women's study department in Bir Zayt. It's not about doing this in public. We do ask for meetings or contacts or to discuss the sexuality or these specific department or group roles in the wider struggle or movement. And actually, we didn't see any positive movement from this kind of approaching mainstream organization. What we are doing more, there is a momentum in the West Bank, at least, for grassroots political, young-based groups like Stop the Wall Campaign, BDS, which is not young and not grassroots, but anyway, there's a momentum, there's a political momentum, and there's groups that working to promote these struggles. And I think what we did is to be part of these campaigns and with these movements, and naturally we have brought in the sexuality and gender struggle and made the intersections more clear and more valuable and more relevant to these struggles. Again, it's not visible in the sense that Stop the Wall campaign will say, yes, we have queer activists in our group, but we are there, and it's a very spoken discourse. I don't know if you heard, but Palestinian Queers for BDS, it's a group, it's a new platform that's promoting boycott within queer communities. So these kind of things that we are been able to do and not being engaged to other mainstream organizations, which is really important, but I think we didn't yet explore suitable strategies to do these contacts and not to fall in this fear, or on the other side with our work within the Palestinians living inside Israel with the very liberal discourse that is happening there, which leave no space for queer discourse yet. And I'm talking about from the last 5 years experience. We did these actions and this is the main insight, but it's an ongoing exploration in a sense.
In terms of our experience in solidarity work, it's pretty young. I mean, we've had very generous movements that we're now joining. Our feminist movement has been extremely generous in terms of sexual orientation issues. I mean, we are about to go paint a school. So I mean, that's the sort of tangible way in which we imagine doing some of that solidarity work. I mean, you know, it's just one small thing, but it's also building this notion of volunteerism in different settings, showing up as queer to do other things. The Religious Right is organizing and is funding in the Caribbean region. In 2004, our government introduced a pretty forward-thinking and comprehensive gender policy that had a few nods to sexual orientation issues, including promoting greater dialogue around rights. So very tame things, expanding domestic violence protections to couples regardless to gender. But they used the term, it should be expanded to people in same-sex relations. And the Christian right, groups like Lawyers for Jesus mobilized incredibly to shut down the finalization of the gender policy for 5 years. And it was brought up out of the mothballs last year, and the government announced that it would be approved, but that it was no longer dealing with sexual orientation, and if you didn't get it right, they said, or same-sex marriage, and if you still didn't get it right, they said, or homosexuality. And abortion was also part of that campaign. The gender policy had one small reference to exploring liberalization of access to abortion because it's technically illegal, except if you know a doctor. So it punishes poor women in disproportionate ways. So that was also part of the campaign, this notion that these foreign values were being imported from places like Canada to Trinidad and Tobago around abortion and same-sex marriage.